Hey everybody, Alex here, and welcome to pickups for July of 2025. I'm out of cans. So we're dealing with a pint glass and it hasn't been in the fridge nearly long enough. So surprisingly, I feel like I didn't get a lot. There's still a stack of stuff here, but some of it's kind of strange, to be honest. And some of it is just stuff that's been out, and I finally just went about getting it. And then, there's also the added confusion of Switch and Switch 2. Does something run better on Switch 2 as it did as opposed to the Switch 1? But at the same time, I do want to keep my standard of trying to keep like the super duper 3D stuff on the PS5 just because, I mean, and truthfully, I played the demo of Wild Hearts S on the Switch 2. And I mean, it's a Monster Hunter game. I'm like 50-50 with those to start. And I thought it ran okay, but that's the demo. And then I watched videos of the full version. Now there's like weird hidden performance modes, and I'm just like, oh my god, I just want to play a game. So let's just get into the pickup. So first up, finally, CL No Surge. This is the missing, I guess you could say, Artelenko spin-offy thing. This is actually came up before Arno Surge, and this is a direct prequel to Arno Surge because there's a bunch of stuff that's referenced within that game. We actually never got this. This did get a DX version on the Switch, which has not been fan translated. The Vita version has, finally. And shout out to Milla's Game Room for letting us know about it because I wouldn't have known. So per my rule, if there is a fan translation, I like to have a physical representation of the game legitimately, or however which way I can, whether that be on Steam or whatever. But if a physical version exists, rather, that's what I'm going for. This was $15. It's very much a visual novel. I already put it on my Sorcery Vita. It's pretty much a visual novel. There's a lot of touch screen stuff on it. Basically just booted up to make sure I did this whole stupid patch thing correctly. And I did. I don't know how. If I ever have to do it again, forget it. But very happy that this happened because it is a series I want to get into. And even though it doesn't technically fall into my, sequel challenge for this year, I am thinking maybe for next year. This is a hypothetical, and I'm shooting myself in the foot because it's only July. I'm thinking maybe I'd have one, and this is dedicated to my boy Cody Rhodes, finish the story where I literally would do what I did with Trails of Cold Steel and just wrap up a whole series over the course of a year, because that was, truthfully, it was exhausting by the end, but it was really fun. And then on the Evercade, there was a whole bunch of wacky confusion with the tariffs and not tariffs, and then they were doing they weren't sending to the States, and then because most of their stuff was manufactured in China, and then out of nowhere they somehow figured it out, and ultimately they just like increased the price by like $5. So I was like, what the fuck? So first we got Windjammers and Karnov and Friends. This also has Roga Armor Battle, has Windjammers, of course, and it also has, what was the other one in here that was Vapor Trail, which is a pretty cool looking shoot 'em up. So we got that, and also picked up this one I was actually waiting for a minute. This is the Gremlins collection too, with Loaded. Is it Gremlins? Yeah. Which is not to be confused with Gizmo and all them. This has Hogs of War, the Loaded and Reloaded, and I think there's one more in here too. Buggy. Loaded and Reloaded were originally on the PS1. I played both of those games, and they were very risque in terms of the violence. But I was like that age category, so it's kind of are they great games? No, but I'm kind of nostalgic for them. And for $25, I mean, this is what the Evercade is built for, is it fills a niche of like, oh, I like old school stuff. It's a little bit of a curated collection, and you get a little physical thing to go with it. Now, the rest of this is all Switch and PlayStation stuff. So on the oddities standpoint, we have a Five Nights at Frederick's Into the Pit, or Five Nights at Freddy's. Other than all of the game theory videos, I really know nothing, and I've played no Five Nights at Freddy's games ever. I thought the lore was interesting enough. I just did not have all the patience to go through all that crap. And in case you're wondering, I call Chuck E. Cheese, I call Charles Cheese, so thus Five Nights at Frederick's. Um, this was put out by Mega Cat Studios, and it is essentially a weird survival horror 2D game, akin to like almost like a point and click adventure. And pretty much a kid jumps into a ball pit, which I've only been in one in the Discovery Zone. Shout out if you know what that is, you an old head. And basically, he gets sent back to the 80s, and his dad, I guess, works at one of the Freddy's locations and is going nutty. And I honestly had no interest in it until I watched the Switch Up review, and I was like, you know what? This looks kind of cool because low key, I did want that Stranger Things season 3 game that Limited Run put out a long time ago, and I never did because it was available digitally for free on Epic, and I was like, okay, if I'm ever gonna, I'm not paying for it because it's a licensed game, and you watch the gameplay. If you're a fan of the show, even if the game is bad, you still got a thing for it, right? So this kind of reminded me of that, and it went on sale for $20. I was like, you know what? Let's just roll with it. Good luck trying to pronounce this motherfucker. Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo. This is kind of like a isometric Zelda-ish style action adventure platformer puzzle game with what I think is a bat who uses a cursed yo-yo. This has had a demo on the Switch for some time now. Very colorful, very GBA inspired. It's by the guys who did Dodgeball Academia, which visually I liked. Premise-wise, I really liked, but playing it, inherently there was nothing bad about it. I don't know what I expected. You know what I mean? Like a game can still be great and it just doesn't click with you, even if you are in the mood for something like that. You should definitely check it out if you like, your what I like to call not anime style video games. It is pretty cool, especially if you're into like that whole like My Hero Academia, stuff like that, where it's basically students within a themed world. In this case, this world rotates around dodgeball. But this game, pretty much, you're like a super entitled, spoiled brat kid whose aunt gets kidnapped or something, and he goes on this wacky adventure with a with a yo-yo. Odin Cat's Paradise Collection of VGP had this on sale. I have not played either of these. I did have these on my Steam wishlist for a very long time. Very much a sort of, I hesitate to say RPG Maker style game. Basically, they deal with love and loss. We'll leave it at that. It's a very heavy duty thing, and a lot of the reviews say the same, like, don't let this fool you. Like, I was crying like a baby by the end, which reminds me of To the Moon, which is a phenomenal game if you've never played it. But to that end, too, and this is a little bit me jumping ahead, they also did Meg's Monster. This is the Japanese import because we didn't get a physical over here. And kind of the same premise, where it is a little bit of an RPG-ish thing. In one case, you run a restaurant. In the case of the Fishing Paradise, you fish. And in this case, you have like a reverse RPG where you're a monster that has to keep Meg alive. And it's pretty much about love, loss, and, just like family and all that mushy stuff that makes me cry at this point. Creepy Tales Double Pack. This is a survival horror double pack, though. This one on sale for $20, and I'll be honest with you, this thing has been going in and out of stock like crazy. I don't know if it's the fact that it's GS2 games and those things just tend to fly away pretty quick, or the fact that everybody says these are actually halfway competent games. The reviews on Steam were pretty good, and I'll be honest. As much as I feel like I could play these at the computer on my laptop, and because I don't have a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally or any of that stuff at this point. I just came off of one game where I'm sitting at a laptop playing it, and it's fine. But after work or before work, because a bunch of you guys know I play games before I clock in for work, and then playing after work. Man, sitting in that same spot for like over 8 hours is painful. I gotta walk around. So having stuff like this handheld is perfect where I can kind of just maneuver. especially since it's the summertime. I actually work out in the dining area, which is adjacent to the living room. So I can't tell my wife not to watch TV. Also, can't tell her to use the PlayStation headphones I bought because I don't know. I tried. Omega 6 Twilight Stars. Now, this art style, I'll be honest with you. If you're an old school Nintendo Power person, you definitely recognize this art without shadow of a doubt. Can I do what all these other people do here? Yeah, there you go. Without shadow of a doubt, you recognize this sort of art style. This is a point-and-click adventure style game. It's not particularly long. This did come out on Steam some time ago. Limited Run put out a physical. I went through VGP because I would rather pay for it and get it in a week as opposed to pay for it 3 years in advance and be out a ton of money on my Amex. So we did that. Cho Anarchy, I forgot the full name of this one. This is the fighting game version of Cho Anarchy, which I didn't know existed, and neither did Jordan from Physical Paradise. So when he started talking about it, I was like, wait a minute. I know about Cho. I guess I don't. I played it elsewhere just to see what it was like. It's not half bad, actually. I mean, it's funny as all get out because of what it is, Cho Anarchy. But it's not as bad as I would have thought it was. Steam World Heist 2. This came out, I think, last month. I was just waiting for it to go on sale, and it finally did. I've only played Steam World Dig, and I really enjoyed it as sort of like a light Metroid-style game. I mean, truthfully, it's very quick. It's over just as quickly as it begins. It doesn't overstay its welcome. So not every game needs to be 20 hours or 10 hours if you can finish it in 6, 7, 8 in terms of story, right? And the series has been a hit. It's gone on to do different genres. There's SteamWorld Big, there's an RPG, and then the Heist, which is the strategy arm. And this is where I run into these weird things. So Metal Slug Tactics runs like garbage on the Switch. Despite patches, despite being on Switch 2, still runs kind of meh. So thus PS5. For whatever reason, the SteamWorld Heist guys, they figured it out, and it works perfectly on the Switch. I don't know why. Regardless, I'll be playing on Switch 2 eventually. But my wife is currently playing Donkey Kong Bonanza, which I actually don't have here because I bought that for her. I guess just quick impressions. Man, that is a super colorful game, and I will be honest, and maybe it's just me, there is too much going on. Even my wife, who is 100% completionist, she must have spent like 6 hours just punching rocks, not getting anywhere. And I am very much used to seeing her make steady progress, and it is just not happening. I would never, ever, ever, if I was 100% gamer, I would never, ever want to play that game to 100%. Stafford Case, this is also more of like a visual novel sort of style game. It is, I think it's 2 games combined. This was a physical import from Japan. Another visual novel with Virtual Girl at World's End. Title says it all. It's about a virtual girl that wakes up in the middle of a dystopian future. I know. It's funny. I actually finally played a VN this month. And I was like, man, like I really got to get into I have to get back into VNs. Like they're really good. And I want to do a video on one, but it's very difficult to do given the nature of it. But here's the thing I've noticed with this last VN, and I'll talk about it in a future video because I really enjoyed it. Some VNs, man, they fall into like that last 3 episode of an anime in the final season problem where they just got to repeat themselves a million times, like me, and ultimately explain nothing and then wrap everything up in 2 minutes. And so I've begun to see this theme a lot more as I get older. It is kind of annoying. But to that end, I keep picking them up, which is why we got the Prison Princess collection here. Now, these are a little bit of a Razy thing as well as a VN thing. And this edition, it does look rather, chunky. It came with like 5 different reversible cover arts, which is pretty cool. And I kind of just shoved them all in there because I have nowhere to put them. And then the last Switch game I picked up, Patapon 1 and 2. I played the first Patapon on the PSP like back in the didn't think I was going to get it in the glorious days of the YouTube gaming community. And I think it was actually Pete Dorr that turned me on to the series in the first place. Think platform action RPG rhythm game where you kind of just like basically you're the god and you kind of just, pound out beats for these guys to attack. So like pat tap, pawn, do, stuff like that, right? Very colorful, not colorful, what's the word? Very innovative at the time. And all of a sudden a Sony IP is on a Nintendo console because, Sony can't do no handheld other than a Portal. So I definitely want to get this physically because it's a series I've wanted to get back into, but it's one of those things too where it's like I you guys know I don't like UMDs, so this really fulfilled the dual purpose. Now, in terms of the PS5, we only got 3 games here. Penny's Big Breakaway, got this through VGP. I already own this digitally. I was hoping to play this a while ago, and I never did. This is from the same guy who did Sonic Mania, so I'm very looking forward to playing that one. Bridge Curse 2, a survival horror. Bridge Curse 1 is one of these, I believe it's Korean-style survival horror games. Haven't played it, but this thing kept going in and out of stock everywhere, so it was one of the, and it never went on sale, so it was one of those deals where I'm like, you know what, let me just buy it in case I just never have a chance to. And then Woot came through one more time with Atelier Yumiya on the PS5 for $44. They also had a 10% off coupon for some wackadoo promotion, so I used that. So got this right at the price point I was hoping to get it, which was like that $39 to $40 price range. That tends to be the sweet spot with me in the Atelier games. I'm still tragically behind. I am on the 3rd game of the Dust Trilogy. And it's funny because I was actually thinking about just like skipping out on that one and just jumping right into the Ryza Trilogy. But now as of this recording, whenever I put this up, allegedly there's going to be a DX version on the Switch. And I am kind of sort of hoping, because I got them all on the PlayStation, that they figured out a way how to make them run better on the Switch too, because I'll be honest, like they run okay, but it's blurry. It's really blurry. I even tried Saga, the Saga remake. They did the 3D one. I did the demo, and I was like, oh man, it is just way, even if the frame rate is a little bit better and it's a little bit more consistent, it's just way too blurry. And given, the cultured artwork, I want it as clear as possible. So thus I continue to get these on the PlayStation. I did play the demo of this on the Switch just to check it out. Checked it out on the Switch 2 as well. Definitely runs better on the Switch 2, but there's still like a little bit of that glaucoma filter on there. So I opted just to get this way. Plus it was on sale. Anyway, that's the pickups. And I guess I'll talk to y'all later. I've been Alex, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Take care.